illegal. When a court has made a pronouncement, the point is that that pronouncement must be obeyed unless there is a contrary order from a higher court. Now, in the case of Dr. Bazu and Dr. Ucheoga got judgment in which the court made a pronouncement that he should be issued with a certificate of return immediately. A word used immediately is there, and that he should also be sworn in by the Chief Judge of Abia State also immediately. And so they got the enrolled order and served on the government agency, INEC. INEC did not have any contrary order. And of course, even if you have appeal does not operate as they say. Even a secondary school, a year one student, law student knows that when you appeal, it does not operate as a stay. And that's why in tribunal matter, he says, when you appeal, it operates as a stay. He went ahead to say that automatically it operates as a stay. But if there is no any express order staying execution of a judgment of a competent court, for God's sake, the man that has been successful should enjoy the fruits of his success. Why will you begin to wait for somebody who has lost a case now to begin to do certain things now to arrest the judgment, whereas there is no any other contrary order? We must also understand that this justice is both for both parties, both the person who has lost and also the person who has won the case. The man has won the case, he must enjoy the fruits of his success. So he approached the agency and they issued him with a certificate, in accordance with the law, in accordance with the judgment, because there was no contrary judgment. So we must understand this. So as I said earlier, tribunal decisions are different from pre-election matter. And so if you have appealed and you have not gotten any express order to stay, there is nothing that should stay that particular judgment. And of course, INEC did what they did. And of course, he heard Justice Okona ban on Friday that there is nothing furthermore to stay because the judgment has been properly executed.
Now, staying on the appeal, Barrister, we've asked this question before and we've not really gotten any clear-cut answer. Does it mean that if a high court convicts somebody for murder, he will be executed before he's offered the right of appeal?
Agent question again. You are making you must also compare apple and apple and compare mango and mango. This is a civil case and not a criminal case. And which has to do with issue of execution for which the person will totally will not come back. You have executed, you have not given him the right to exhaust his appellate option. Of course, when you kill somebody, he cannot be alive to appeal again. But this is a different ballgame. It's an election matter in which somebody who was not supposed to have been be there in the first place is there. And he's been there for almost a year plus, and a proper candidate under the law is not there. And then the court has made a pronouncement that he should vacate for this other man that is a proper candidate. And somebody is now making a comparison with the issue of somebody who has been convicted for murder. For God's sake, they don't tally at all. You compare apple to apple, orange to orange. As I said earlier, if eventually he loses that, that is Dr. Ucheoga, then the right person comes over to his own position again. The man comes over to his position. But for now, the law has found.
We insist that the analogy that was adduced to is not the same thing. But then again, isn't it a convention in legal practice that when there is a notice of appeal, the parties will stay action? Isn't that a convention?
This clarification again. I've told you before that even a year one law student knows that appeal does not operate as a stay. The appeal does not operate, and I ask any person, like INEC has now issued a certificate of return, can any of them bring any contempt proceeding against INEC for disobeying any court order? Because there was no court order. For the fact that you have given somebody a notice that you are appealing, or you have served somebody a writ of summons, giving him notice of your action against him, there's no judgment of the court against that individual. You must obtain a judgment of the court. And for which, if you disobey, you are liable to contempt of court. So INEC is not, because there is no express order. So when you talk about convention, we are talking about law. What is the law? What is the law? What is the position of the law with respect to appeal? If you appeal, you must also file a motion for stay and get an order expressly from either the same court or higher court to stay execution of an order. Because the man who has gotten judgment, for God's sake, must enjoy the success, the fruit of his success. Why must he wait until you talk about convention of waiting? No. The man assesses that justice is two ways. The man who has been successful should enjoy. The man also who wants to appeal, we have a right to appeal, but you must.
All right, Barrister, we'll take a break at this point. It's top of the hour. We'll bring you Pan-African World, and this conversation continues when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome to the news desk again. This is Pan-African World. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar have ordered a ceasefire after days of intense fighting in the capital, Juba, since Thursday. More than 200 people are said to have died in clashes between the rival leaders' forces. The violence began with a shootout and has since involved the use of heavy artillery, tanks and helicopters. The UN Security Council had urged both sides to stop fighting amid fears for the safety of millions of civilians. In a unanimous statement, the Council condemned the violence in the strongest terms and expressed particular shock and outrage at attacks on UN sites. It also called on 4 additional peacekeepers to be sent to South Sudan. President Kiir's ceasefire order came into effect at 18:00 local time, 15:00 GMT on Monday. Ethiopia has blocked social media sites across the country after university entrance exams were posted online. The government said the ban was to prevent students being distracted from studying during the exam period and to prevent the spread of false rumors. The blocked sites include Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Viber. A government spokesman said they will be unavailable for several days while university entrance exams are taken. Ethiopia was among the first African countries to censor the internet, and opposition blogs and human rights websites are frequently blocked. Social media sites have gone down in Ethiopia before, but only for a matter of hours, with the government previously denying any involvement. This is the first time social media sites have been publicly blocked nationwide. In May, university entrance exams were cancelled after pictures of the test circulated on social media. A group supporting protests for greater rights for Ethiopia's people claimed responsibility for the leak. A South African court has charged identical twin brothers with terrorism and allegedly plotting to attack Jewish targets and a U.S. diplomatic mission. Brandon Lee and Tony Lee Tussle and 2 others were arrested in Johannesburg following police raids over the weekend. They are said to have been planning to join so-called Islamic State in Syria in June. The U.S. Embassy in South Africa warned that U.S. citizens in the country could be attacked by terrorist groups. Places where Americans congregate, such as upscale shopping areas and malls in Johannesburg and Cape Town, were thought to be possible targets, the statement said. The 23-year-old brothers appeared briefly in court, initially covering their heads with hooded jackets. Local reports say they will remain in custody until the 19th of July, when they can apply for bail. And President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigeria will fulfill its financial obligation to the African Union, particularly on programs and operations aimed at ensuring durable peace, stability, and security on the continent. Receiving the AU envoy on the peace Fund, Dr. Donald Kaberuka, on Monday at the State House, Abuja, President Buhari said supporting peace operations under the auspices of the AU in several countries affected by conflict remains a foreign policy priority for his administration. Despite competition priorities on security and the economic downturn in the country, the president assured the AU envoy that Nigeria will also play a central role in seeking the EU and the UN to strengthen their support for crisis-prone African countries. The president used the occasion of the visit of the AU envoy to weigh in on the situation in South Sudan and appeal for peace and calm in the country. And that's Pan-African World. Don't go anywhere just yet. Our conversation continues in a moment.
Africa, you see. Africa, you know. Africa, you understand. Africa, you celebrate. On Kakaki, the African Voice.
Well, thank you for staying with us. That was definitely Pan-African World News. Now, while we were there having the news break there, a lot of tweets came in, and someone had a question for Barrister. Barrister, this is from Ilojud, and he's saying, a third party acknowledges an official error. A sitting governor is removed immediately. How was Governor Okezie supposed to scrutinize tax papers issued by authorized agencies? Oga rejected the results of same primary for which he is seeking remedy against PDP guidelines. Where is the equity, Barrister? And that's what he's asking.
Question of issue of a body, a third party issuing a certificate to a candidate. Now, if you are issued a certificate of your tax payment and you've been paying your tax as and when due, you will look at the document before submitting, because you are swearing an oath that whatever document you are submitting, whatever information you are passing to INEC is information that is attributable to you. You are very sure that information is accurate and correct, and that if it's found that it's to be misleading, then you should be held accountable. So if you are giving your tax papers, you go through it, because this is a tax you've been paying for years, as and when due. So you must know how much you paid. Or if there is any clear, clarification you seek from the body, you do it. Or if there is any, mistake made, of course, you must also submit it. Because what we are looking at is the document you have submitted already before INEC that qualifies you to run for that position. You cannot be a student of University of Lagos and then you now submit University of Nigeria and Soka certificate. That would be wrong. So you are the one that owns the certificate. You are the one that the certificate has been given to by a body that you requested for. You look at it and say, yeah, this is actually in accordance with what I have actually paid as my tax before submitting. More so when there would be this issue of liability in case of any misinformation, because you will sign a paper saying, I have disclosed this information and I know it to be very accurate. Now, if it turns out to be misleading, that would have made my political party to, qualify me, then I should be disqualified. So whatever information you are given must be scrutinized. So it's important. Now, on the issue of signing result sheet, I have said it here in a different fora. For God's sake, there was election, primary election, which we contested. And of course, we even wrote a petition against that process because we felt that there were some irregularities here and there, which means we participated, because the allegation is that we didn't participate in a primary. How can you write a petition when you didn't participate in a primary? We did. At the primary, there was total confusion immediately after the announcement of the result. Almost all the contestants never signed that result sheet because of the confusion. And the lady that was in charge of the primary went away to Abuja with the paper saying because of the total confusion on the ground, that's why she did not allow agents to sign the result sheet. And so if you have participated, if INEC has even have the result sheet submitted to them by PDP, and in that result sheet, it shows who came first, it shows who came second, shows who came third, it shows who came fourth. Even the man that is in court now over the issue came fourth, and he scored only 5 votes. And I'm saying that because according to his sign, he alone now should be made a governor if Dr. Kese Bazo's election is invalidated. And we said that is actually wrong, because the fact remains that there was election, the fact remains that Dr. Kese Bazo came first, the fact remains that Dr. Uchoga Samson came second. That fact has not been denied by INEC, that fact has not been denied by even Dr. Kese Bazo himself. And so I don't know where this issue of not signing the result sheet, as a result of the condition of that environment that day would invalidate the fact. A fact remains a fact. It cannot be changed by any person irrespective of whatever had transpired. So the point is that IPDP recognized that somebody came second, including even Dr. Kezi Bazu himself.
Definitely, and a lot of people will say, what then happens to Friday Nwosu as well, who is a third person also claiming the seat of the governor? And people were also asking, did, of course, Uchoga contest that election at all to be actually chosen by the people? The questions are endless, Sana.
All right, let's thank you very much, Barrister, former NBA chairman, Ikeja Branch, Lagos, also is a counsel to Uche Oga, Barrister Monday Ubani. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Staying with us. I don't go anywhere just yet. Kakaki will return in a moment. We continue with our conversation. We have another talking point. We're taking a look at South Africa plans to celebrate Mandela Day.